and she's going to be talking about Wachuma Grandfather ceremony. And us at the Plant Medicine Path, we're going to be having a ceremony down in Pensacola on May 27th through the 30th with Sierra. And today we're going to talk to Jessie about her experience, brought her to the medicine. So thank you, Jess, for being here this morning. And tell us, talk to us.
Thanks for having me. Um,
No
yeah,
problem.
so I was doing a shamanic apprenticeship with Sierra a couple years ago, and she was offering a Wachuma ceremony, and I just knew I needed to partake. And what that looked like in my life at the time was I had three little kids, and I think they were all 5 and under. And and it was a nighttime ceremony. So it was me leaving at night, staying awake all night, and then having to come home to take care of kids. And my husband at the time was diving for the state police. He was at a recovery, which was unexpected. And then, so I was headed to the ceremony, but then I had to get childcare. So his dad came over, and I headed to the ceremony, not knowing if my husband was okay. A lot of anxiety about leaving my kids to go take medicine that I didn't quite know what the effects were going to be. So yeah, it was for me, it was a big decision at the time. But I still felt like, okay, I'm going, I have all my things, I'm getting in the car. I made it there, and I partook in the pipe ceremony, and still hadn't heard from my husband. Um, and so right after the pipe ceremony, I heard from him. He was on his way home. He was okay. But at that point, I was like, I had been experiencing some anxiety about my choice and what I was doing, and what the repercussions could be for my family. Was I going to go crazy? All of those thoughts you have before um, taking medicine, or at least for myself. And so I remember standing outside of her little cabin, and it was springtime. I think it was still cold out, um, and just like kind of in the dark, staring up at the sky, and like I'm like, do I do this? And my husband he's always supportive of the things I want to do, of how to heal myself, but he was expressing some anxiety about it as well on his way home. And I just checked in, and I was like, no, I think I'm gonna do this. So I went back in the cabin, and drank the wachuma. And I had I'd experienced quite a few times some psilocybin, but had one experience with some friends that it was, they were not enjoying themselves, and I could see the how when you're not fully on board with a medicine, how it can bring up a lot of fears. And so I was like, in that space, like, do I want, is this the right, am I in the right space to do this at this time? And um and I decided to. I was like, whatever it brings up is, I was in the shamanic apprenticeship. I was clearing the dark stuff out. I was in the shadow work already, and I wasn't afraid of it. So I remember drinking the wachuma, which was hard to get down, and then immediately feeling nauseous. I went into, it was in a beautiful little cabin with a fireplace, and sheepskins, and there was a bunch of people from our shamanic apprenticeship there, and a couple others. And I went and laid down on a bed in the cabin, and just started purging. And it felt like a welcome purge, like, okay, here we go, sort of thing. And as I was going through that, I was seeing visions and like reliving memories of things that had happened that I'd known about, that I was like working through in her class anyway. But and my ancestors were visiting also, so it was a lot of dreamlike state. Um, and then I would get more intense, and then I would purge. And as I was going through this, I was like, okay, just paying attention, floating along with what was coming up. Um, but then I started to understand more what was happening. And
Right.
the memories and experiences were like in each chakra. So I had been really working on my root and sacral chakra healing, and it was like root chakra stories and beliefs,
Mhm.
and life events. And then I would purge it out. And then it was this like intense, um, riding that line for any of those that have had babies, that line of like pain and pleasure, like, right on that
Mhm.
line of like the most painful pain that then like turns to pleasure, or can ride that line. And
Mhm.
and there was like, then there'd be this like breakthrough in that chakra, and it was the light. It was like the light was the pain. It was like so intense and opening so quickly and brightly that it was like, that pain pleasure. And then it would move up to the next chakra, and I would go into the stories and the life events in that chakra, and then purge it up, and then that intense light. And I started to understand what was going on, and that there was this pattern happening. And once I understood that, I was like, here we go, on this roller coaster, and fully grateful for the Wachuma. Any fear that had been there was gone, and I was just ready to get rid of it all. And the people in my class would check in on me. Sierra was amazing. She came and sat with me for a little while, and I just wanted to chat. I had so many like revelations and thoughts during that time. And and she, took care of me, cleaned me up, like just was this big grounding force, but also not intervening in my experience at all. Just, letting me know that she was there.
Right.
Uh,
Mhm.
and anytime someone was like, "How are you doing in there?" I'd be like, "I'm doing great, working through stuff." Um,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was
Mhm.
that was my experience in the medicine.
Right. So let me ask you something, because we all know why we come to this medicine. We're all trauma. It's all brokenness, and we find a way to come to these medicines to heal ourselves. So during this experience, and what have you taken away from it? I mean, what did you get during that experience that you could tell others about?
Yeah. For myself, I have I guess what you'd call a pain body, where I have a lot of different ailments that I've been trying to heal through all sorts of different modalities.
Right.
Um, and what I what I learned a lot during that experience was that there's stuck emotions and feelings that, I never had really been allowed to express, or um, I hadn't allowed myself to feel, and that they were, that's it's stuck energy that's causing me pain. And following the ceremony, I just had this clarity that like my my body felt great, my mind felt great. Uh, I just didn't feel. I felt like um, in control of myself for the first time. Really, that like I, if I'm gonna start having those thoughts again that I normally have or whatever, like I can choose not to. That like those are it's my choice. These are just my thoughts, and it's stuff that I need to work up and out of myself. It was like the experience itself was like a metaphor for like, okay, if I'm gonna be in pain and something happens to me and it like settles in my body, it's really up to me to get it up and out of my body. And how do I do that without Wachuma? But like it taught me that how it feels when you do that. It's this big clearing and this clarity that, yeah, you can carry forward.
Yeah, because I think that's what we spoke about first. I mean, this medicine gives us the ability to see through all that. And, the medicine isn't the cure, it's you that's the cure. Medicine is just giving you that ability to, and all these medicines work in different fathoms. I mean, ayahuasca, for example, is a really heart grounding medicine. It's really heart opening and it really gets to the core root of your wounds. And for me, I think Wachuma was more of my elderly grandfather telling me, especially after the ceremony, it was just more vivid. The statements and the things that he was saying were just so, the clarity was just there after those ceremonies. And it was so grounding it was like actually another voice was talking to me as this is what needs to be done. And I would say to myself, why the hell didn't I think of that before? So it's just, that medicine was very special. In the
Yeah.
ceremony itself, because it is a long ceremony, and we talk about that a little bit, how long that ceremony is, but it's beautiful. So
Yeah, I think it was about 5 hours of that intense purging and working through the chakras. And then around like 1 or I think 2 a.m. I rested for a while from all of that. And
mhm.
then I got up and I was just like wanting to like experience life and people and um from being in a place of like I don't want anyone around me. I want to be in my little cave, like this is enough what I'm going through, to like then like
Right.
being ready for life again, and enjoying people again. And I went outside and it was just dark and beautiful and crisp, and then I came inside and sat with a woman who was taking the medicine and healing her own stuff. And we sat and chatted and, just rehydrated. And it was like a dream-like state still for another like 4 hours of, yeah, just bliss, just
Yeah.
so tired, that feeling of like, hiking a mountain or running a marathon, that like you're
Mhm.
tired and you just work through a ton of stuff, but like
Mhm.
you're blissful and you want to stay awake and experience that feeling.
Mhm.
um,
Right. And you said something pretty important. I mean, to enjoy again, these medicines give you that ability to enjoy life.
yeah.
Because some
Yeah.
of us, we've never, we never, our trauma is just becoming, this is all generational. So, we just always were taught that this is how we had to be. And just to see people like you and others, that thousands I've seen on this path that just have, the integration key to this is so important too. I mean, you just don't take them cured. I mean, you're doing the work. You're going inside of yourself and saying, wow, this motion's coming up again. Why is this? And you're doing that work to kind of rewire your brain, to rewire your body, because your body is, you really have to control those feelings after a while, because they sit in there, they're rooted. They're just rooted, and they take so long to get out after so many years. Your brain can work through that. It's your body that has that hard time releasing. And I think a lot of these medicines give you that ability. So I see it's done pretty amazing things. And, all these medicines have done things for people. And we just want to get that word out, kind of what you're doing today. It's just, just to be known. And this needs to
Hmm.
be understood. Medicine. This isn't something that should be demonized. And,
Yeah.
It's just a great thing. And talk about a little bit
Yeah.
about integration. How did you do that? What did you work through?
So I think a big part of my integration was the dream work. Wachuma kept coming to me in my dreams and giving
Mm-hmm.
me directions and insights. My grandma was very present and still doing healing work for me while I was in my dream state. And um, and then just, I was in the shamanic class, so that really helped. But going out into the woods, I would go out into the woods every morning and sit and just listen and be with nature. I think that was a huge piece of it. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I'm in healthcare and I see how we're handling mental health and it's not working. And these medicines, are such a great tool. They're definitely not, like you said, they're not cures. But if when people get to the point where they want to be better, um, they're ready and willing to do the work. And these are like gateways to helping you understand where your work lies. And that's what it did for me. It really helped me understand that like the the energy that I was losing by worrying about other people, by caring, what other people were thinking about me. It was it was big energy sucks and blockages
Mhm.
and it showed me kind of when I'm in alignment, which is just learning to trust my intuition more, um,
Right.
and like love myself so that it doesn't matter what anyone else
Mhm.
thinks about me. Um, that like I can be pain free and I can be clear and I can be like a light, which then impacts my children. Like that's a big part of why I decided to do this was I was having some patterns of parenting that like no matter how much I was aware of them, like I don't want to be doing this, I don't want to be like carrying this on. Um I was still doing it. It was still hard for me not to like to break that.
Yep.
So and within all my relationships,
Mhm.
insecurities and just the family trauma. um
Right.
and
The attachments. We get these attachments, and we think these attachments are what we're supposed to live on, but it's not. I mean, we're supposed to live with
right,
us, and people will see that after a while, and we can't help everyone. I think that's how most of how we operate. We want to help everybody, but when we help ourselves, then we help others.
right, right. And that was becoming clearer and clearer to me. And part of like that was why I knew I needed to experience this medicine. And yeah, I'm very grateful for it.
Right, right. So let's talk a little bit about Sierra and her ceremonies. I hear she's
Yeah,
beautiful.
she is. She's incredible.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the space she holds and the space she creates, like the cabin that she held the ceremony in with two of her friends, and her partner. Um, they're like giant warm hugs. And they uh, are so, you can tell that they just embody this work and are so respectful of these plants and the lineages, and all of the teachings that um, by just being around them and watching them, like that in itself is medicine.
Right.
So then, and like, and safety, like that was a big part for me is I needed to feel safe and held. And I did. I felt very, and it was a beautiful scene. It was like fireplace and sheepskins and uh, fresh food and fruit and water, and she was there taking care of me. She was up all night with everyone, taking care of their needs. but also just that presence of like trust, showing you that she trusts in you, that you're doing you're doing your work, you're doing great, and that is such a gift.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it is really a gift to work with practitioners that are very ethical about this medicine. There's a lot out there that aren't. And that's another reason we started this platform, because there's a lot of medicine servers out there not doing the right thing. And people like Sierra and Melissa May and Gina, there's just friends of ours, and that we've really gained trust. And, there's a lot of trust that needs to put into these medicines, because it's our lives too. So, some of these medicines could do some damage, and people know how to work with these medicines. So that integration afterwards is a great thing. It's such a great thing. So, and they know how to work with you afterwards. So these are life-changing medicines. And I know we meant they're not a quick fix. And I don't think not a quick fix in that way. I touched on the catalyst that these medicines do to open up your mind so you can do the work. So you're not, it expedites where you're at in life, and if you want it, it will really help you even further. You can fight these medicines, but any experiences, medicines is a great experience to take something.
Yeah, definitely. You said something there that made me want to follow up, but I can't think of it now. But Sierra introduced me to Melissa May, and I did Canva with Melissa May, and I only felt safe doing that because of her recommendation and my trust in Sierra. So I love what you're doing, because it definitely it makes a difference being able to trust someone before you head into this.
Absolutely, because we're trusting ourselves. And that's the biggest thing on this medicine, is we don't trust anybody, but we want to trust everybody. So that makes us a little gullible in this, myself too, for us all. And it's funny, on these medicines, Wachuma Grandfather is probably the only medicine that I was able to eat almost the whole time. You can eat food crazy. Food tastes so wonderful on these medicines. It just tastes so great. And we did touch on something else about connecting to Earth. I mean, we're so locked up every day. We don't get outside, and that's where our gifts are. Our gifts are all out. We lock ourselves in these little homes, and get outside once in a while, enjoy that nature, and it will bring you that vibrancy again. Sometimes we talk a little a lot in this spirit world, but I think we're just we're just connected. We're just where we should have been in the very beginning. So
feet on the ground.
Feet on the ground. Story was really wonderful. Really great to hear from you. We are going to be having a ceremony, a Wachuma ceremony with Sierra here, May 27th through the 30th in Pensacola. If you're interested, just email us at theplantmedicinepath@gmail.com. Jess, do you have anything else for us? Add anything in before we go?
No, I just appreciate all of this. I'm a huge proponent of plant medicine and like doing your own work. It's the only way we can heal the world. So thanks for your work and that.
Heal us, and we'll heal everybody around us, right?
Right.
Okay. Love you, girl. Great story.
Yeah.
I hope you touched a lot of people. I know you did, and thank you for your time.
All right. Take care.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.